and we'll be starting shortly, but do introduce yourselves as usual. Welcome to this month's Learning for Sustainability Connect session. It's exactly 4 o'clock, but I think we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes because I can see people just joining now. But do introduce yourselves in the chat. It would be great if you're not speaking, if you could mute yourself as well, just the usual things, so that we don't get general interference. That would be grand. We'll be starting in a minute or two. Welcome everyone. Lovely to see so many people here at this session. The usual things, do introduce yourselves in the chat box. We'll be starting in a minute or two. And if you haven't done already, I think most of you have, and you're not speaking, mute your audio. That's great. Lovely to see people arriving now to this month's Connect session. Hi everyone, welcome. If you're just joining now, please do introduce yourselves in the chat. We'll be starting in a minute. Lovely to see you this afternoon. It's wonderfully sunny here. I hope it is with you too. Okay, welcome. As usual, do introduce yourselves in the chat. Welcome to this month's GTC Scotland Learning for Sustainability Connect session. It's great to see you here, to have you here, and if you could mute yourselves if you're not speaking, that would be great. We are recording this session, so if you prefer not to appear, do just switch your video off. And today then, the focus of our meeting is learning for sustainability and learner voices. And we are really pleased to be welcoming some young people from the City of Edinburgh and West Lothian to join us in sharing their thoughts about learning for sustainability. Today we will be, as usual, setting the context for learning for sustainability in Scotland, but with a real focus on how the voices of young people have influenced the development of learning for sustainability, and particularly recently in Scotland, before we do hear from young people. And as usual with these sessions, the important aspect too is hearing from you and providing an opportunity for you to share your own ideas, your own experiences in relation to this. Next slide, Kirsten, please. So a quick setting the scene from me, and then I'll be handing over to Susie Aldous from GTC Scotland to set this within the context of learning for sustainability and the professional standards. And then, as I said, our input from secondary pupils from the City of Edinburgh and West Lothian. Welcome to this session today. And then over to you for a group conversation about this really important topic before just a wind up at about 5 o'clock and finishing at 15:15. Okay, to set the context then, let me, next slide, Kirsten, please. Let me start with, on the left, an image that I imagine you have seen before. This is Scotland's national outcomes, and it's a great diagram because it links to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It has as its centre the aspiration to create opportunities for all of Scotland to flourish. But right at its heart too is social, economic and environmental sustainability. And education and learning underpins all of these outcomes. Of course, as we know then, learning for sustainability, or learning for a better world, as you can see from the word cloud on the right here, it's a national priority in Scotland, as you'll know, and it's highlighted too as a focus in the current programme for government. But what is it? Well, next slide. This is how it's defined in 3 to 18 education in Scotland. And essentially, it's about enabling every young person in Scotland to contribute to building a socially just, sustainable and equitable society in Scotland. And research has shown that this is a priority for young people. In Scotland, it is an entitlement for all learners, and it's also a responsibility for all educators. But how do we make this happen? Well, again, next slide, please. As most on this call will know, there is currently an action plan called Target 2030, a movement for people, planet and prosperity, which is trying essentially to support every school and setting in Scotland to be sustainable by 2030. And it has as an aspiration building a movement for change in relation to this. And that actually, it's underway, but it does need approaches which are appropriate for all young people to engage. So what is a sustainable learning setting? Well, you can read what it is here. Essentially, though, the important thing is that it's about every aspect for the learning context in every setting. And that's described through these 4 C's. It's about the curriculum, it's about the culture, it's about the campus, the school buildings and grounds, and everything that happens in relation to the operation of the school. And it's about the school community in its widest sense. So we're actually talking about something which is has the aspiration to affect every school in Scotland and be about everything that every school and setting does. Now, importantly, next slide, Kirsten, just to say that the development of this action plan involved the participation of and consultation with children and young people in Scotland. On this slide here is a report that was produced by the Children's Parliament back just before the action plan was launched. Of course, learning for sustainability is linked with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and as you know, this is incorporated into Scots law. Articles 29, Article 12, they're about ensuring that children's and young people's education fosters respect for the world around them and their right to participate in matters affecting them. So the entitlement for learners is there. But sadly, in this particular research, children and young people expressed a lack of involvement in their learning, and particularly regarding the climate crisis and outdoor education, and really saw that as a priority. And the Children's Parliament then have continued their engagement with the LfS action plan beyond this research, really highlighting that there needs to be a more inclusive and more participatory approach. And so more work was done with some of the young people that were involved in this Children's Parliament research, and actually that has fed in to the implementation group, which is ongoing to do with the LfS action plan. So the views of young people and Children's Parliament is for young people up to the age of 13 are being really incorporated on an ongoing basis to the implementation of the plan. That's the idea. Their views continue to be fed into the implementation. But what about children beyond 13? Well, University of Dundee, you may have come across this particular piece of research too, again before the action plan was launched, and it was looking at young people's perspectives, looking at what their aspirations were. You can read the detail of this. There's a link here, but essentially, young people beyond 13 were saying really quite similar things. You can see here what they highlighted. And again, beyond this research, the Scottish Youth Parliament, members of Scottish Youth Parliament, have been involved. They have developed Learning for Sustainability Youth Leadership Group that is linking with focus groups that are trying to link with young people across Scotland, gathering their views to inform the leadership group. But are we doing enough? You know, how is learner voice being incorporated into Learning for Sustainability? And we're looking forward to hearing from young people a bit later in this call. But